Today we are starting a new video series here on this channel about working with the Divine Feminine. If this topic speaks to you, please make sure to subscribe so that we can take this journey together. Hello my love, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. I'm super excited to share with you about this subject, working with the Divine Feminine, because it is a crucial part of my life, of my spiritual life, my personal life, and my professional life. I was a woman who used to deny my feminine energy, neglect my feminine wisdom. I used to disrespect my cycles, and I paid a very high price for that. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, and in my relationships. So I knew that something would have to change. And it is part of my mission. Share about it. Share about tap into our feminine wisdom. And working with the Divine Feminine is a blessing that we have out there to help us on this journey, on our personal spiritual journey and spiritual journey. So I have some notes here because I don't want to forget anything. And in this first video, this specific video, we are going to talk about my early relationship with deity, my current relationship with deity because it changed over time. I'm going to share some practical advice on finding the goddess that you're meant to work with now. And I'm going to share with you some journaling prompts to help you to understand your relationship with deity. It doesn't matter if you started working your work like decades ago, if you started a year ago, if you're starting now with this video. We always have something else to add up. So it's important to hear each other's experiences as women. So if you feel comfortable to share in the comments down below your experience, it will be meaningful for me in my journey to learn from you as well, right, my beautiful soul? So, as I told you, I have some notes here to not forget anything. And I would like to start by saying that there are several ways that people work with deity. Not going to cover all of them, but I'm going to share a little bit about what I see people doing and specifically what I do. My goal with that, by sharing my experience, is that it's going to ignite something inside of you. It's going to bring you some kind of inspiration, some kind of insight on your own path. Because working with the deity, working with the Divine Feminine is something very personal. It's something that is a kind of relationship that we are going to develop and is very specific. Okay, so I'm going to start by sharing my early personal experience. And I would like to mention three special, especially three goddesses. We would not call them goddesses, but I'm going to call them now goddesses. And well, I was born in the most Catholic country in the world, like over 90% of people there, they identify as Christians. So the Christian mythology is alive, is strong. And it was natural to learn about Mother Mary then. So Mother Mary is someone that was and is very special for me. And at the same time, a little bit later maybe, but I think at the same time, so since I was really young, I started working as well with Yemanja. Yemanja, she's a goddess and she came from Africa to Brazil. And she's actually an Orisha. And she is, at least in Brazil, she is the queen of the seas. And thanks to her, I started working with mermaids since early age as well, with the energy of mermaids, right? And water was always a very important element for me. And another one that was very important in my journey was Our Lady and Doer of Knots. So one day I was coming back from university. I was at university. I had just finished some research work and I was looking for a job. I wanted to work in some company. And when I got home, I used to share an apartment with a friend. There was a folder there under our door. And then when I saw it was about her, about Our Lady and Doer of Knots. And then there was pray there, something for you to pray there and ask whatever you wanted. And that's what I did. And after like, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I landed my dream job. Yes, that's how I started my first career So of course she has a very special place inside my heart. And of course, the Our Lady Endure of Knots, she's one face of Mother Mary, right? Then later on, like around from 2012 to 2015, I started understanding that an important part of my work was self-compassion, because I was not I would not have any kind of self-compassion at all. I was extremely harsh, extremely hard on me. I used to curse myself a lot. I remember that I did actually an exercise, the mirror exercise. Louis Hay is the one who taught that exercise, and it's so powerful. I remember looking at myself in the mirror, like during the exercise, I cried so much, and oh, I could see what I was doing to myself, right? That's the thing, guys. Sometimes we treat ourselves in a way that we would not treat anybody else. That's what I used to do. And I remember one day I was leaving my house, and then I opened the door and I said, "Oh, I forgot that notebook." And then I started cursing myself, like I started calling me names that I cannot share with you. It's not allowed. Yeah, for you to see the level of the thing. Then I came back to my bedroom. No, I was there when I did that. I just stopped because I had finished the mirror. I think it's mirror work, it's called. And then I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Doesn't matter, I'm late. I'm going back to my bedroom. I went back to the bedroom. I went to the mirror and I said, please forgive me. And I started being aware of the way I was treating myself. As I told you, we treat ourselves in a way that we don't treat other people. It's something important for us to notice. So self-compassion, self-love was something that I was exercising. And then I had a spiritual mentor back then, and he told me, he mentioned Kuan Yin. He said, well, I think your energy is Kuan Yin energy. It's the same energy. And I was, oh, okay, I'll do my research. And I remember I was at a spiritual store where they sell crystals and tarot decks, and I was looking for a tarot deck back then. And then I saw this image on a shelf, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know. It was like the only thing in that room was that image. And then I went there, and when I saw, it was Kuan Yin Oracle. Elena Fairchild's Kuan Yin Oracle. And when I looked at the image, I looked at the image first, and then when I read Kuan Yin, I was like, what? Like, seriously? I bought the deck right away. So it was my first deck and my first Oracle deck ever. And working with Kuan Yin is being transformative because, as I told you, self-compassion, self-love, and even self-forgiveness. Because sometimes we have a hard time forgiving ourselves for things that we did, things that we didn't do, things that happened that were not under our control, ways that we allowed, maybe the way that we treated people or the way that we allowed people to treat ourselves. So there's so many layers that she helps us with. When she helps us to understand the power of self-compassion, she allows us to access a place of self-love that is going to make all difference in the way we love others as well, right? So I'll tell you that I have some of these goddesses, I have a special relationship with them, and I would name like Mother Mary, Our Lady Endure of Knots, she's a face of Mother Mary. So Mother Mary, Yemanja, and Kuan Yin. They have a special place in my practice, and it is a very specific and different relationship that I have with them. Now, in general, when I work with other goddesses, I don't work with a ton of goddesses. I don't think it's something, working with goddesses is something meaningful, so there's an intention behind that work, in my opinion. Just sharing what I do here, and of course, in some way, what I share with my students as well. So it's something that is very specific because I approach them always with respect and reverence. So I would say that, well, okay, people, they're going to build a relationship with deity, worshiping them. So they will worship them, They will sometimes, there's some offerings, and they're going to ask for things, stuff like that. I would say that nowadays, the way that I work with the majority of goddesses, it is like archetypes, like models, like source of inspiration, because they allow me to understand faces of the divine and face of the human as well. So they help me to understand that harmony between being divine and being a human being, being a soul, a spirit, living a human experience. That's very important for me, and that's very specific. And especially as women, I think it's something that can sometimes it lacks, this kind of model, this kind of source of inspiration. And for me, well, guys, I love goddesses, and I love working with them. They're very, very important, very special for me. And it feels like they really allow our experiences to see ourselves like in a mirror. In a mirror, as I just said, a mirror that is allowing us to see our divine and our human at the same time. We don't want to destroy the human part. We are here for a reason. If you are not meant to be humans, we would not be here. Now, of course, we do have space to expand, space to grow. I'm not going to get here and say you're perfect the way you are. You're not, and I'm not. Like, of course, we do have the perfection of the soul, but we are here because we have space to grow, space to learn. I believe that. Otherwise, why bother? Why bother being here? That's how I see the divine. That's how I work with them. So now, oh yeah, and then I think I already told you, right? These goddesses that I work the most, they are Mother Mary, Yemanja, and Kuan Yin. There's a specific relationship. It's very strong. They're always around. But then there are other goddesses, and they come to help me on my path. Now, like archetypes, as I told you. So I don't worship them, I don't make offerings, I don't ask for things. What I ask for is inspiration. So it's extremely important when you are going to work with a goddess, study about them, do your research about them. As I told you, approach them with respect and reverence. And I think that when we are, when we are getting to know a person, I think it's good to ask them, who are you? Tell me about you. So you can ask this goddess, like, what do you want me to know about you? Tell me about you. Then you go to your research. It's not some, oh, tell me about you. And you're going there, oh, I'm going to wait for some download. No, tell me about you and do your research. Be proactive. And she's going to show you whatever you're meant to see right now. So I'll give you some practical advice about working with deity, some things that I learned over the years. Thinking about how you can find out which god's meant to work with you now. How can you do that? So one of the ways is, like I told you, that happened to me with Kuan Yin. Maybe a mentor or a spiritual teacher is going to tell you, oh, maybe you could work with this deity now. I do that with my students. I suggest something when I have some intuition, or depending on what they are sharing with me. Sometimes I have an idea and I can tell them, why don't you go and do your research about this deity? And then they go there. If they feel like, they start working with them. So one of them is when a mentor or teacher are going to mention a deity. But it's always your responsibility to do your research and talk to your inner wisdom. That's part of developing your feminine wisdom. Like, how do you feel? If that feels right, great. Another way is writing down what I'm feeling. So I'm going to do a meditation, and then I'm going to journal about what I'm feeling, what I wanted to achieve, what I would like to get rid of, let go of, surrender, what I would like to bring to my life. And then I'm going to Google or even ChatGPT and do a research. What goddesses are connected to, then describe. And then I'm going to receive the answer. Several goddesses, usually it's more than one. And then I'm going to do my research and see what I feel. As I told you, doing our research, studying about a goddess is an important part of this relationship. It's part of working with them. And is respectful as well, right? And you are going to feel things. You're going to see how you connect with their symbology, mythology, how she's speaking to you right now, right? So it's the second way. And the third way that the way that I usually do this work is the second way. The third way, I don't do that often, but it's a way as well. I use this technique as well, using an oracle deck. Now, this is my favorite goddesses oracle deck. I think it's called Goddess Inspiration. I think it's Goddess Inspiration. It is by Chris Walder. She's the same author of the Goddess Tarot, but it is out of print. So I'm not even, I don't even bother like writing the right name, but I think it's Goddess Inspiration. This goddess has, I think, 80 goddesses. So it's interesting to have a deck that you love, that you like, and has several goddesses, so that you can draw from this deck. The last time I did it, I shared a video with you here about my work with her, like a journaling work with her. It was, who came forward was Ukemoshi. I had never worked with her before. So when I drew this card, I went to do my research. And then when I found out about her, I was reading about her, I was like, what? It's simply perfect. So you're going to see how beautiful it is. Like her description was everything that I had written on my journal that I wanted to work with. So it's beautiful. Working with a specific deck, this is my favorite one, unfortunately out of print. Now, before we dive deep into our journaling prompts, I would like to share with you some kind of warnings. So the first one would be like about channeling goddesses and being goddesses. So approach with caution the idea of channeling goddesses, either if it's you or another person, and the idea of being a goddess, that doesn't exist. Let's be honest, nobody is going to be the goddess. So no one out there is Kuan Yin. No one out there is Isis. No one out there is, do you understand what I mean? Venus. No one out there is Kalima. It's not like that. So I'll tell you to pay attention to this kind of thing. Another one would be to stay away from videos called, like, for example, if you found this video, it is because Kalia wants to work with you now. If you found this video, it's because you're meant to work with Hecate right now. No, those videos, they're there to grab attention, clicks, views. That's not how you're going to find out what goddess want to work with you now. I know that you can receive messages from all kinds. Well, there's several channels for our messages, but just, be cautious, just that. And then, of course, as I told you already, study about the deity and see if it makes sense for you. You are the guardian of your energy. You are the responsible for your own path. So you are going to do the research, and that's something we can discuss in the channel if you want. Learn to develop this inner wisdom, this feminine wisdom, and trust your own intuition. Trust your soul's voice. That's the voice that knows everything, that knows what you are meant to do here. So that's the voice you want to tap in when you are going to find out things. So people can give you advice. People can give you guidance, and that's fantastic. We are grateful to those who are here willing to help us on our path. But in the end of the day, it is what I call personal spirituality. The answer is here. That essence knows what we are meant to do, what is better for us. It's a challenge. Tap into that voice, because there are other voices around, and the one that we specifically call the ego in Kabbalah, talking all the time. But that's the exercise of personal spirituality, is being able to tell the ego, okay, stay quiet a little bit and start tap into our soul's voice a little bit more. Now let's go to our journaling prompts. So the first one is, what is the feminine for me? I think that's very, very, very important to have clarity about what that means for you. Not what you learned at school or in the social media. No, what does it mean for me? That's the question. The second one is, do I see the feminine as strong and capable or as weak and undesirable? You are going to find important stuff there, okay? Important stuff there. Especially if you are like me and many people in my generation, right? Oh, we wanna be extremely strong. We are givers, because women that connect with me, usually they are very similar. We have a similar energy. So women that are very self-conscious, self-responsible, who are working their consciousness, and sometimes they are huge givers, and it's much easier for them to give than to receive. Much easier to do than to be. And sharing, giving is crucial. Doing is extremely important. If you don't do things, like we are here in Marlhood, in the material world, we are supposed to do things. But without receiving and without being, believe me, you're going to see yourself empty. You'll never be able to reach your full capacity if you don't open up to receive and just to be. And find the joy and the beauty in being who you are right now. Think about it. When people criticize us, we don't want to hear what they have to tell us, right? What they have to say. So if we keep criticizing ourselves, we are going to shut down to ourselves. And we want to be open. You know, this is part of our relationship with ourselves. You want to be influenced by ourselves, because we are our biggest influencers. Another one here. What is the divine feminine for me? Because we hear people talking about it, we read about it, but what is the divine feminine for you? And the last one is, why would I like to bring deity to my spiritual practice? Why would I like to work with the divine feminine? Like, what is my why? What is my intention? What is my motivation behind that? Of course, after journaling, you can draw one tarot card or oracle card for each one of them. It's going to reveal some more layers as well in this practice. My beloved one, this is just the first video, so if you have some suggestions, please leave in the comments down below. And we'll keep talking about this beautiful, beautiful subject. Thank you so much for being here. My heart's full of love and gratitude because of your existence, and because your existence found my existence. Thank you so much, beautiful soul. I'll see you in the next video. Lots of love.